So, Ginger.
Yeah?
You know how we wanted to start a podcast, but we were having trouble coming up with a topic?
Yeah?
Okay, so here's my pitch. The topic of the podcast is us trying to come up with the topic for the podcast.
What, like we pitch each other podcast ideas and that's the podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We could call it, What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Miles, that's really stupid. Let's do it.
What should this song be about? I'm trying to figure it out. What should this song be about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've had a moment of doubt. What should this song be about? Last time on What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Pew, pew, pew! Pew, 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 pew!
Robots, they're getting us with their lasers.
We should ask ChatGPT what to do about the robots with the lasers.
That would be helpful. I bet ChatGPT... No, this is terrible. Welcome to What Should Our Podcast Be About? Podcast where we try to figure out what this podcast that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm Miles Grover.
And I'm Ginger Barham.
Yeah, so last time we had some ideas generated by ChatGPT and we were having fun, so we decided we should keep going with that. So we're going to do a little more of that this week. I think what we should probably do is just talk about some of the better ideas or some of the bad ideas that are at least interesting in some way, because this thing will generate so many ideas and most of them are just
terrible
dog shit. So
yeah, I mean, this did make me, I think it was maybe last episode that I said I was afraid the robots were gonna take over, and after playing with ChatGPT a bit, I am no longer afraid of that.
The robots have a little bit of a ways to go, especially as far as joke writing. I have a comic. I actually asked it to write me some comics, and the scripts were extremely bad. Maybe I'll read those later, but...
They've got the quantity down, but not the quality.
Yeah, and that is actually what you want when brainstorming, right? Is just quantity, and maybe something will kind of stick. So,
yeah.
So it's probably useful in that way, and I foresee us probably continuing to use it to some extent in the future, but...
Yeah.
This is
it was fun to play with.
Yeah, it's fun to play with. And this is the second in our ChatGPT series, I guess. Probably won't be more in this series. But anyway, do you have an idea? Let's just each do an idea or two, like, quickly and bounce back and forth like that.
Yeah. So I've got some ideas. I do not have any good ideas necessarily.
As usual, yes.
And I would say maybe slightly worse than usual. So I'm going to say what I asked ChatGPT about. First off,
sure.
I started off asking ChatGPT to give me some ideas for podcasts for babies.
Okay.
And it gave me some pretty boring ideas.
Like a podcast that a baby would listen to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it gave me some pretty...
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun. The first ideas it gave me were pretty boring. Things like bedtime stories, nature sounds, baby songs.
Right.
Nothing too exciting.
Actual podcast that you might put on for a baby, not like somebody's like, I'm going to make a podcast that is aimed at babies, like in a funny way.
Right.
Right.
So then I asked it for some funny ideas about babies, podcast ideas for babies. And those were a little better, but mostly didn't make sense. You could tell that the AI just plugged in like baby to the idea.
Right.
Like I'll just give an example. One of them was baby jokes, and it was a podcast that features silly jokes and puns that babies can enjoy. Jokes can be simple and include animal sounds or silly words that babies can mimic.
A lot of babies, depending on how you count what counts as a baby, most babies don't even speak a language.
Yeah.
To receive jokes in.
Right.
Let alone enjoy jokes.
Right. So
really?
there were a couple like joke ones. My favorite one that it came up with as far as the humorous ones was Baby Talk, which is a podcast where babies can, quote unquote, talk to each other in their own language with silly babbling and gurgling sounds. Parents can also participate and respond to their baby's, quote unquote, conversation.
Okay, so this is like the nightmare of anybody who's like gets annoyed by parents talking about their babies too much. This is like babies gurgling and then parents going, oh yeah, boo, 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 boo,
yeah,
goo, 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 or whatever. And like that is that. I mean, honestly, that's who would listen to that podcast?
No one would listen to it.
No one needs that.
No one would listen to it. So I asked it for some more ideas. So I just asked it to give me more funny ideas in the hopes that I would get one that was a winner.
Do you have one that we can talk about? Because I find
There's two here that I want to mention.
Okay.
So I'll start with I'll go with the first one.
Start with one, and we'll trade off. Because I think it's really easy to just like read all the crap that ChatGPT says, and I think that's kind of fun, but not great audio.
Yeah, not great audio, probably. So actually there might be three here that I want to mention, but the first one I'll start with. I don't know how much we'll be able to like talk about this, but it was just too funny not to mention. So the podcast is Baby Yoga, a podcast that guides babies and their parents through simple yoga poses and stretches set to soothing music. And I just really like the idea of attempting to
describe
yoga poses, and also like the idea of babies somehow being able to do yoga.
Yeah. It's like, this pose is called downward dog. And if you don't know what that looks like, it's kind of like you're bent over, but in a triangle way, and then your arms
like an
are
upside down V.
Yeah, and that would be an obnoxious podcast for sure.
I mean, if you wanted to make it appeal to babies, I suppose you could be like, be an upside down V, but also bark like a dog.
Yeah, but babies don't even know what V's are yet, right?
Right.
Babies don't know how to write or anything.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Babies don't even know shapes. They don't even know triangle. They would not be able to follow any of this advice.
Put your baby into a V shape.
Right. Force your baby to do
your baby
yoga.
will enjoy it.
Yeah. It will make your baby more flexible, a thing that babies definitely need.
Babies need to stretch.
Yeah.
So that was my first one. Speaking of babies.
Yeah, we got Rory in his little jumper. He's pulled his arms in. He's just a couple of little legs bouncing around, having a good time. All right, well, I'll go through an idea or two. Well, I'll start with a couple of pretty bad ideas that I think are funny.
Okay.
Because most of the ideas are just like stupid.
I have more, by the way.
Yeah. I know. Most of the ideas are just stupid, can't work, don't make any sense, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they make sense in a literal way, but not as a podcast, right? This one I thought was a funny, terrible idea for a podcast. Telepathy Experiment, a podcast where you and your co-host attempt to communicate telepathically and then discuss and analyze the results.
So it's just sitting there silently.
We're silently staring at each other as loudly as we can, I guess, in our brains. And then we're like, so, that was nothing. End of podcast.
What bird am I thinking of? Let's try it now.
Okay.
What bird am I thinking of?
A turkey.
Wait, you didn't give me time to communicate it to you. I didn't even get a chance to think of the bird.
Well,
okay.
I thought you were already be thinking of it.
No. What bird am I thinking of?
Okay. Did you think of it already?
I'm thinking of it. I'm sending it to you so hard.
Pigeon.
No.
Oh.
It was a goose.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so...
I thought you might have a chance of getting that one, actually.
Yeah, well, there was a handful of options that it could have been. I just said the one I was thinking of, I guess. Anyway, terrible. Yeah. As you can tell from the last 30 seconds of audio, that's a terrible idea for a podcast. This one isn't necessarily a bad idea so much as it's not an idea, which is Pet Peeves in Pajamas, a lighthearted podcast where you and your co-host discuss your biggest pet peeves while wearing your comfiest pajamas. We could be wearing our comfiest pajamas right now. I am
wearing my comfy pajamas right now, actually.
You don't know. Nobody knows. It doesn't sound different if you're wearing your comfy pajamas when you complain about stuff.
Maybe it's a thing where you describe like what pajamas you're wearing as part of the like podcast. Like sometimes at the beginning of the podcast, I've listened to podcasts where at the beginning of the podcast everybody will like talk about what their drink, what drink they brought for the podcast.
Yeah, all right, I guess, but it's that's nothing.
Yeah,
it's still nothing.
I mean, it's not nothing. It's not as nothing as some of these ideas.
Yeah. Two more quick bad ones, and then I'll give a better one.
Okay.
The Yawning Podcast, a podcast where the host and guest yawn for an hour and discuss their yawning experience. Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, okay.
And
I got nothing to say about that.
Yeah, and on that note, The Silence Podcast, a podcast where there is no talking or sound for a full hour except for a brief intro and outro. That's like the John Cage 433 or whatever track where there's no music. It's just you hear like the audience or the audience and the orchestra or whatever, just turning pages or whatever.
Yeah.
Patently a terrible idea for a
terrible
podcast.
Idea.
Especially
because, for multiple episodes.
Yeah, if anyone was ever going to listen to that, they're literally not listening to more than a few minutes of one episode.
Right.
Certainly not in an hour. Okay. A decent ish idea. I thought this could be sort of interesting. Apocalypse Survival Guide, a podcast where you and your co-host discuss and imagine different scenarios for the end of the world and then offer tips and advice for surviving them. I don't think we would have good tips for surviving them.
But it could be fun.
But it could be fun to talk about like what you would do in a zombie apocalypse or a pandemic or
definitely
climate change or any of the very real things that could happen anytime now.
Yeah.
So could be kind of fun. I don't know if there's much legs to it, but could be fun.
Yeah. I mean, how would you come up with the scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a sticking point, I think, because after 2 or 3, 5 even, maybe, you kind of run out of different ideas.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know how you would extend it past a few episodes, but
yeah.
Yeah.
It could be kind of fun though.
Could be kind of fun, kind of boring though, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean not a particularly like unique idea.
Yeah. Probably already exists.
Which is what I noticed about these ChatGPT ideas in general. All right, you want to hear some more of mine?
Sure.
So after asking for ideas for podcasts for babies and funny podcasts for babies, I then asked ChatGPT to give me ideas for podcasts hosted by a baby.
Okay.
And again, I think ChatGPT just plugged baby into the podcast idea for the most part. But I did like Baby's Book Club, which is a podcast where a baby hosts and reviews board books and other baby-friendly literature. Okay. Mostly I just like the idea of a baby reviewing books, but in practice it's really not going to be as amusing as the idea
It wouldn't work in practice, but if you had a baby with like boss baby levels of articulation of speech, right?
Yeah.
Like a baby who could at least express their baby ideas well enough for regular people to understand.
Yeah. I guess that pretty much all of these podcasts assume that your baby is boss baby, basically.
You have to have the boss. These are all boss baby podcasts.
Boss baby podcasts. Yeah. So then I said, give me some funny ideas for a podcast hosted by a baby. I did particularly like one of these ones, Babies, Rants, and Raves. A podcast where a baby hosts and shares their opinions on the world around them. The host, meaning
boss
the baby.
The boss baby.
The boss baby can rant about frustrating experiences like diaper changes or nap time. And rave about the things that bring them joy, like their favorite toys or snacks.
Or is this also like a Stewie from Family Guy situation kind of, I guess, too?
Yeah, because, I'll just read you, I'm not going to read you all of the descriptions, but a few of the ideas that it had were Baby's Debate Club, Baby's DIY Show, Baby's News Network, and Baby's Life Hacks.
Yeah, these would all be like look who's talking kind of situations, right? Where you have to pretend the baby could actually speak.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that you have an idea that we can expand on. Yeah. Because I didn't really get to anything usable. Yeah. Despite multiple attempts with ChatGPT.
I have a couple of more ideas that I thought were funny because, well, I'll just read some of them. Weird or bizarre conspiracy theories. Review or discuss strange or bizarre conspiracy theories, such as the flat earth theory or the idea that the moon landing was faked. That was literally our idea already. We already had that idea. That's exactly an idea we already had.
Well, I said obscure ones.
Okay, but bizarre and obscure. I mean,
right.
We talked about what's bizarre or weird about. Yeah. Also, Bad Movie Night, a podcast where you and your co-host watch and review the worst movies you can find. The worse the movie, the better the episode. So,
there's a lot of bad movie podcasts.
A lot of podcasts like that already exist, and also we love watching bad movies. We've talked about that several times. We would totally do something like that if we were starting a podcast in 2009 or something.
But there's a sea of them out there already.
And there's only so much to do in that space. A couple of ideas that I thought were kind of interesting, or here's one I thought was kind of interesting. Improv Interviews, a podcast where you and your co-host take turns interviewing each other as different characters or personas, such as a celebrity or politician. Celebrity politician's kind of boring, but like both of us putting on some kind of weird persona and interviewing each other could be kind of fun.
Why do you keep trying to get me to do voices that I can't do?
Yes, voices are going to come up throughout the life of this podcast, I think, as ideas.
So I better just
you should learn to do
some impressions.
In fact, getting into another idea I have for a future podcast, I definitely have written down somewhere like a podcast where we work on our voices
Okay.
And try to come up with good voices. Anyway.
Okay, so I just need to learn some celebrity impressions is what you're telling me.
It doesn't need to be celebrity impressions. Literally any goofy voice, you can be like, I'm a pickle, or whatever. Like, you can just make up a voice and attribute it to...
I'm a tiny flea.
Yeah, there you go. Like, just attribute it to something. And then I am, Mortimer P. Wazzleworth, and I'm the interviewer guy that's interviewing this flea. I don't know. That wasn't good either. But you know what I mean.
All right.
That could be kind of fun. We come up with silly things. I think the biggest problem with it is that it's a little so open-ended that it could literally be anything. And so it's like, it doesn't really have much meaning to it, right? Like, it doesn't, without any constraints, it doesn't really give it any like hook or real meaning to it, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I don't get what the hook is there.
Yeah.
Other than maybe like just listening to people do voices badly.
Right. It would be us practicing becoming voice actors or something, I guess. Or improv actors.
A thing everybody wants to listen to.
Yeah. There isn't... there's like a core to it that I kind of like, but I don't think there's quite...
I mean, it would be fun for us. I don't think it would be fun for the listeners.
Yeah, probably. It might be a little fun for them, but not enough fun to keep listening and go to our sponsors or whatever's going to happen with this podcast. So I guess the biggest... kind of the idea that I'm... most feel like continuing with was from last episode. We talked about a podcast called The Movie Plot Generator. Probably could have a better title, but
what should this movie be about?
yeah, maybe something like that. Where the AI comes up with a plot synopsis, and then we discuss or a few plot synopses, and we can discuss which ones have legs, which ones could be interesting.
Cast them, that kind of thing.
And I have a bunch generated by ChatGPT already if we want to talk about some of those.
Okay. A bunch of movies.
A bunch of movie, short synopses. Was there anything else you wanted to cover before we do that?
Let me just check my notes here. Well, we could dive into baby karaoke or baby stand-up comedy. Okay. No, let's go with your idea.
Baby karaoke.
Baby Karaoke says it's a podcast that features popular nursery rhymes and baby songs with silly lyrics and karaoke-style sing-along tracks. Parents can sing along with their babies or let the little ones take the lead and babble along. Rory seems excited about that idea.
He decided to pipe up just now. Oh, he's got his arms coming out the leg holes. I think the stand-up comedy one is especially great because a lot of babies cannot even stand up, let alone speak and do comedy. So yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I asked ChatGPT for some weird and wacky movie plot ideas. So predictably, this is going to be a bit of two silly things mashed together for a lot of these, but some of these could be kind of interesting. The werewolf wedding planner. A werewolf who is a wedding planner finds out that one of her clients is also a werewolf, but the wedding is on a full moon. Chaos ensues as the werewolf wedding planner tries to keep things under control.
All right. So like a werewolf rom-com kind of situation?
Bit like the wedding planner, but the werewolf.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of into that.
This could be something.
What else you got?
The Cheeseburger Apocalypse, which is a pretty good title.
Yeah.
A post-apocalyptic world where cheeseburgers are the only food left. A group of survivors must fight to protect the last cheeseburger joint on Earth. So I guess in this movie, there's only cheeseburgers and only in one place. And everybody else in the rest of the world has no food.
Okay.
I guess. And they're descending upon this cheeseburger place.
All right.
I don't know what because a group of survivors must fight to protect the last cheeseburger joint on Earth sounds like if the thing they're defending it from is the rest of the people who are hungry, that sucks actually.
Yeah.
They should lose.
Yeah, they should lose.
And however many people can get fed by the cheeseburgers at the cheeseburger. Is it a cheeseburger joint where there's still like a chef in the back flipping burgers?
Or is there other food elsewhere and it's just this is the only place to get cheeseburgers?
Well, it says cheeseburgers are the only food left.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
Yeah, so that's Cheeseburger Apocalypse. There's some more. Do you want to read some of these?
All right. The Vampire Dentist. A vampire who is also a dentist discovers that his patient's blood is more delicious after they have dental work done. He becomes obsessed with making his patient's teeth as perfect as possible. Kind of fizzled out there at the end.
So he's fixing their teeth, and he finds out after he fixes their teeth that their blood is better. So he must have been drinking them before and after fixing their teeth.
So he's trying to make their teeth as perfect as possible because he wants more blood?
Because he needs to do dental work on them over and over again. He could just do more dental work on more people. Also, I guess he's doing this, he's like feeding on them while they're under anesthesia or laughing gas or something. Like, when's he getting a chance to feed on these people?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not...
It's like not quite.
I don't feel like the idea of a sadistic dentist is particularly original either.
True. That's very true.
So, all right, so moving on. The time-traveling tax collector... The tax collector who has the power to time travel uses his abilities to collect taxes from famous historical figures. What I am learning is that AI uses time travel in very boring ways because last week we had the time traveling gardener.
Yeah, this is even worse because it makes even less sense.
Yeah.
A tax person, like a tax man or whatever, has a jurisdiction over a specific set of people at a specific time. You can't just go and try to collect taxes from Isaac Newton or something.
Maybe it's his get rich plan. He's just like making up taxes.
Also, people would have had a lot less money longer ago because of inflation or whatever.
Well, he's going to famous historical figures. So
I guess they might be rich ones. But who's going to be like, oh, okay, random guy in a weird outfit. Sure, here's my tax money. It's pretty bad. What else we got?
The Zombie High School Musical. A group of high school students put on a musical about zombies, but soon find themselves in a real-life zombie apocalypse.
We kind of saw that movie.
Yeah, that was that Christmas movie.
It's pretty similar to that Christmas zombie movie. Yeah, it was called.
It was a musical, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if the musical is about zombies per se, but zombies happened.
Yeah. Okay, so that has kind of already been done. The haunted roller coaster. A group of friends go to an amusement park and find themselves trapped on a haunted roller coaster that takes them through a series of terrifying experiences. That could be kind of fun, I suppose. I don't know how... I mean, roller coasters are usually not very long rides.
Yeah, I don't know where... They don't take you anywhere. They take you back where you started within a few, like 2 minutes or...
Yeah, so I don't know.
I actually don't know, but not very long.
I don't know what terrifying experiences you could have on the roller coaster besides the, terror of being on the roller coaster.
Being upside down and stuff or whatever.
Yeah. All right, here, you want to go through a few of these?
Yeah.
So far, I mean, if we're going to pick one of these and talk about it, so far I'm feeling the werewolf one the most.
Werewolf Wedding Planner's at least a reasonable idea for a movie, right?
I don't know about reasonable. I don't know if reasonable is the right word.
You could see you could see a movie like that getting made. It's not impossible for something like that to get made. Yeah. Unlike the time traveling tax collector, because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
The robot detective. I'm not even going to read that because there's lots of stories about robot detectives already. The alien chef, an alien who is also a chef, comes to Earth and starts a restaurant that serves alien cuisine. When the local population begins to disappear, a group of humans must investigate the restaurant's strange menu. See, I kind of like that, but I don't like the people are food aspect of it or whatever.
Oh, right. It's definitely a Soylent Green situation.
Yeah, or
alien spaghetti is people.
Or it's like Sweeney Todd, or Soylent Green or whatever. I don't really like that angle of it, so I don't know what the hook of this movie is, but I feel like an alien comes to Earth and opens an alien restaurant. Could be fun, maybe a kid's movie or something.
Yeah.
But hi. You like that idea? The time traveling mime. We got more time travel here. A mime who has the power to time travel uses his abilities to change the course of history by silently acting out key moments in time. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No one's paying attention to mimes enough for that to be effective.
Yeah. How would that work anyway? How about this? The Witch of Wall Street. A young woman discovers that she has magical powers and uses them to become a Wall Street tycoon, but soon finds that her powers come at a price. That's kind of a
cautionary tale.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a straight up metaphor of Wall Street guys anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that could kind of work. It could be like a Wolf of Wall Street kind of thing, but just with a
I never saw that movie, but...
Well, actually I didn't either, but it could be that kind of cautionary tale of getting rich and why capitalism's bad and whatever.
Yeah.
But with a supernatural element. I think that could probably be a thing, right?
There's something there, I suppose. I'm still feeling the werewolf one.
Okay. I think I like the Witch of Wall Street a little better than the werewolf one, but we can keep... There's a few more here. I'll just read a few titles. How about that?
All right. Yeah, because I think we should probably pick one to talk about. So, we've already been recording a while.
Tell me if any of these sound interesting. The Singing Serial Killer.
I mean, that's just Sweeney Todd, basically.
Yeah, okay. The Zombie Hairdresser.
Sounds funnier than it would actually be, I think.
Yeah. Oh, actually, okay, this is kind of good. A hairdresser who accidentally turns her clients into zombies when she uses a new shampoo that has a strange effect on their hair. That's actually kind of interesting, because I was thinking a hairdresser who is a zombie.
Right.
But a hairdresser who's accidentally turning her clients into zombies, that could almost be something.
Could be something, I guess.
All right, let me just quickly go through some of these titles. Time-traveling lumberjack. No thanks. The alien matchmaker. The werewolf therapist. That could be something, maybe.
All right. What's
a werewolf who is also a therapist tries to help other werewolves come to terms with their condition, but finds that it's easier said than done. That's less interesting. I was thinking a therapist who's a werewolf to regular a werewolf who's a therapist to regular people, and a werewolf to regular people, I guess.
Does he give the therapy when he's in werewolf form, or is just like he's in human form?
Yeah, maybe therapy in werewolf form. Like you go to this guy because he's a werewolf and he has insights into rage and stuff. Maybe it's like a anger management thing.
All right.
And like if he can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
That could be something, maybe. Or maybe that's his arc, right? He hides his werewolfness until eventually he has to like wolf out. And then in the end, he like finds a job as a therapist for anger management stuff.
Yeah.
That could be something. He or she.
Yeah. No, I'm still about the werewolf wedding planner.
Okay. The robot pirate. Okay. Time traveling Cupid. No. Zombie chef. No. Superhero plumber.
That's just Mario.
That's just Mario. Superhero handyman. Another one that's very similar. I think that might be all of the movies it suggested so far. Yeah. So I don't know. I liked Werewolf Therapist, Witch of Wall Street, and the Werewolf Wedding Planners.
Yeah.
Less so, but I know you like that one.
I mean, I think the werewolf wedding planner would be fun because we get to come up with, like, there's a lot of things that could go wrong in a movie about a wedding. I mean, that's just coming up with a movie where lots of things go wrong, right? It's going to be a comedy of errors kind of thing. And I think that could be fun.
So let me read the synopsis again. A werewolf who is a wedding planner finds out that one of her clients is also a werewolf, but the wedding is on a full moon. Chaos ensues as the werewolf wedding planner tries to keep things under control.
Yeah.
I feel like the first thing we'd have to figure out in the writing is how to make it so it makes sense that the wedding planner doesn't just go, let's move the wedding out a couple days.
Well, because it's booked at a venue that's booked out for like the next 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the only date available.
This is the only date. But the werewolf, wedding planner, and the person who's a werewolf, assuming they're not terrible people, know that they might kill people on that day, right?
Well, what if they just have the wedding during the day? So something's got to happen.
So they think it'll be safe. They're like, well,
yeah.
It's okay. So yeah, so they're like, they're planning the date. This is the only date they can get at this place they want to do the wedding, right? And they're like, well, I'm a werewolf, but it'll be during the day. You know, we'll leave before it gets dark. The moon won't be out, so it'll be fine.
Right.
Right? They kind of rationalize it.
Well, then they didn't realize that that daylight savings time fell on that day or something.
Maybe the location is in like Iceland or Norway or something. It's like a destination wedding in some place kind of high latitude, right?
And so the sun sets at like 3 p.m.
Yeah, the sun sets really early.
So this wedding planner is a werewolf and also very bad at her job.
Yes. Well, again, because
you would think if you're going to plan a wedding in Iceland,
yeah,
you would.
Yeah, maybe that doesn't.
Know that.
Maybe that doesn't work. Like the daylight saving thing could work because you forget about daylight saving time and. Like, or maybe. I mean,
it could just be a thing where the reception just ends up running long, right?
Yeah, or it's like maybe it's a combination of things, right? Maybe they're having it not in Norway or something, but they're having it in like Maine, right? Somewhere fairly far north in the U.S. So the sun does go down pretty early, and they didn't think about that. right?
Or
because
could
it's
it
not
be-
that far north, and it's daylight saving time, and there's some kind of something holds them up, like the bride gets stuck in traffic or something, right?
Or could it be that they accounted fully for the full moon, but something else causes everybody to wolf out?
Do you think there's a bunch of werewolves there, or just the?
I think it's more fun if there's a bunch of werewolves there.
Maybe maybe it's the groom is a werewolf, and the whole groom side, or a lot of the groom side are werewolves.
Yeah.
Or
So is the bride
or
a
the bride
werewolf
side.
as well, or
I think only one of them is, but they both.
do
know
werewolves
about
only marry other werewolves?
it. Well, that's racist.
No, but I mean, is it a thing where like actors marry other actors?
No,
where it's I gotta marry another werewolf because they'll understand.
Yeah. I think in the real world that if werewolves were real, that would make sense. I think in the movie it has to be an odd couple, right? It's going to be way funnier if one's a werewolf, and maybe the other family only kind of knows about it or doesn't know about werewolves at all, even.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like trying to hide it from.
Okay.
Everyone.
So I think it's funnier if the bride's the werewolf.
Okay, bride's a werewolf. Is the groom a different kind of monster? A Frankenstein? Perhaps.
No, but he's a cat person.
He's a cat person.
He's a cat person.
Is he allergic to dogs? Maybe, or like dander, werewolf dander.
Well, I mean, they've been together he knows she's a werewolf, right?
Yeah. I think he knows she's a werewolf, and he's like okay with it.
Okay. Well, that could be a funny joke in the movie, like I'm more of a cat person, but I fell in love with her anyway, kind of thing.
Yeah. Or maybe he's like really a cat person and like has like 8 cats and wants them involved in the wedding somehow. And then
yes.
that causes things to go
I love
haywire.
that. I love that.
Like the people who are werewolves in their human forms are maybe like okay to chill out around some cats. But like when the full moon hits and they all wolf out, now they're chasing cats all over the place.
Right.
Who's our main character? Because it's about the werewolf wedding planner, right? So she.
Yeah, and what's her?
Said it was a he or she. Or
and is she looking like? Is there going to be is it going to be a rom-com situation where she has a romantic interest, or what's the story for the wedding planner?
Does the wedding planner have a romantic interest?
Yeah, I mean, like what's because she's got to have an arc, right?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe she is friends with the bride or groom or both, and so she's doing she's the wedding planner normally, but she's like doing a special one for that. Maybe she's the bride's relative because they're both werewolves, right? Maybe
could it be that Could it be like a situation where she doesn't necessarily have a romantic interest, but her, she's related to the groom. And so her family, the whole time she's planning this wedding, is like, when are you going to meet a nice werewolf and settle down? Right.
Or maybe her side of the family or her part of the family, maybe she's a cousin of the bride, right? And her part of the family is more conservative. And so they only want her to get with another werewolf. Right, but she's actually secretly dating somebody, one of the groom's friends.
Okay, so part of the hijinks in this is her hiding her relationship with the best man.
Right, the best man, or I do kind of think
he's got to be a vampire, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I do think it'd be fun if the other side is some other kind of monster, or some of them are. Clearly, monsters exist in this world, so why not vampires and why not Draculas and Frankensteins?
I don't think all of them, but I think he's a vampire because, traditionally, vampires and werewolves have a whole rivalry. So not only is she not dating a werewolf, she's dating a vampire.
A vampire, yeah, that's especially bad.
Yeah.
Is he? Maybe he's not part of the wedding party or anything. Maybe he's just hanging around as Mist. He's not supposed to be at the wedding, but he's obsessed and followed her there. Or maybe she broke up with him and is being plagued by
why does this bat keep showing up?
Yeah, she's being plagued by this bat Mist boyfriend who's a vampire.
Yeah. Okay. So should we try and cast the movie?
Oof, boy. Okay.
Who plays the wedding planner?
Do we think she's probably somebody maybe like a Kristen Wiig type actor? Somebody.
So she's Kristen Wiig, but she's a werewolf. Okay, I like Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig. I don't know. Did you have somebody else in mind?
I was immediately thinking of Jennifer Lopez, but I think maybe she was in a movie called The Wedding Planner or something.
Oh, probably.
So that's probably why I was thinking of it. I think I like Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig. I guess the other people I thought of, or somebody else I thought of, was like Julie Louis-Dreyfus or somebody like that. But she's kind of, a bit old for the part at this point, I think. Maybe Kristen Wiig is too. I don't know. I guess, but
I
think she's probably not.
I don't think it'd be like super young to be a wedding planner.
I'm thinking like mid-30s to mid-40s maybe would be the age.
Yeah. No, I think let's go with Kristen Wiig. How about the bride?
The bride. So she's cousins to Kristen Wiig. So
what about Kristen Schaal?
Oh yeah, Kristen Schaal.
Let's just make it a Cole Kristen cast.
Kristen Schaal. Okay, yeah.
I think that could be.
I can see that.
I think that could be
She
fun.
does have kind of a similar vibe to Kristen Wiig, I guess, in some ways too.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the groom?
So what do we mean? The groom is a cat person.
Yeah. It could be funny to cast somebody like Chris Hemsworth or somebody like some super hot guy for the part. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Chris Hemsworth to play any role, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I was gonna say Brad Pitt, but he's kind of too old.
Yeah, I like Chris Hemsworth as like a nerdy cat
like
person.
a nerdy Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If he's like nerdy and doesn't know he's hot, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the vampire boyfriend of Kristen
I
Wiig?
think it would be. I mean, I think it would be hilarious if it was Robert Pattinson.
Huh. That could be fun. That could be interesting. But he's not.
He's maybe a little young for Kristen Wiig.
Well, but he's a vampire.
Right. He's a vampire.
Plus, he's getting older, and also I think it would be funny if it was like it's Robert Pattinson as a vampire, but not as Edward from Twilight. He's like full on a Dracula.
Yeah.
Maybe he's actually Dracula or like Dracula's nephew or something. I don't know why, but that's a really funny idea to me. Dracula having a nephew.
A nephew.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because how would Dracula have a nephew? I mean, I guess his nephew must have been born. Well, yeah. I guess I just momentarily forgot what a nephew was, because it totally makes sense for Dracula to have a nephew, but he must have turned his nephew into a vampire if his nephew's still around.
Well, it's either that Dracula had a sister when he was alive,
right,
or a brother, and they had a kid that he turned into a vampire, or it's like Dracula, whoever made Dracula into a vampire made somebody else into a vampire. And so that's like Dracula's brother or sister. And then that vampire made somebody else into a vampire. And so that's the nephew of Dracula. Right? So it's vampire sire logic. All right. Maybe.
The vampire family trees aside.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really funny for Robert Pattinson
to be Dracula's nephew.
To be Dracula's nephew.
Yeah. And he's like...
What if he's just going around, like, that's his thing. That's how he introduces himself to people. He's like, I'm Dracula's nephew, but nobody believes him. Yeah. Then at the end of the movie, it comes out that he actually is Dracula's nephew.
Yeah, like maybe he tells somebody he's Dracula's nephew, or tells a few people, and Kristen Wiig is like, he's not Dracula's nephew.
Yeah.
Like, she dated him for a while, but they broke up recently, but she's like, he's not.
Yeah.
Like, she knows, but she's wrong.
Right.
And it turns out he really is Dracula's nephew.
Yeah.
At the end. Maybe Dracula comes in at the end and somehow saves everything.
Yeah.
With his Dracula money or like, I was imagining a rich patron coming in at the end to somehow bail everything out. And that could be Dracula, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. I do feel like and Robert Pattinson as Dracula Jr. or whatever. What should his... Well, I don't know if we need to come up with names for these characters, but...
Vlad. His name's Vlad.
Yeah. As Vlad is... or maybe it's like Vladislav or something like a little bit goofier than just like regular Vlad.
Yeah.
And he goes by like Islav or something. He's got to
he's like a vampire hipster.
Well, I was thinking he's like a vampire... He's like a total dirtbag, right? Like, he's kind of hunched over. He's like Dracula'd up with his hair slicked down, but like a little bit too greasy or something. Like he's kind of asleep. Maybe he's a car salesman or something, used car salesman or something. That could be funny, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess Kristen Wiig has to have some reason to like him. Yeah, we can't make him too unlikable. Has to be something likable about him. But
not, I mean...
Unless he just hypnotized her. And that's why she broke up.
Well, because we already have the conflict of, like, her family wouldn't want her dating a vampire.
Yeah.
So if we add also, like, he's a douchebag,
Yeah.
And there's no reason for them to be together, so they have to break up somehow, then that's a separate conflict. So I feel like we have to make him likable.
He has to be likable enough, and also there has to be, because I think she thinks he's bad for her, separate from her parents or whatever not liking him. So like he's there, but they're not actually together, and he won't like take the hint or whatever. So, but she doesn't want her parents to know he's there at all because they don't know she dated him in the first place. Doesn't necessarily matter that she broke up with him.
So he's constantly just showing up as a bat, and she's just like waving her like wedding planner notebook at him, like, get out of here.
Yeah, or like he flaps in as a bat behind everybody for the pictures and is standing in the back. It's for the pictures. And she's like, get out of there. He's like, don't worry, I won't show up in the pictures.
Can he be a bat with Robert Pattinson's head?
Sure.
Because I think that would be fun.
I don't see why not.
This movie that we're definitely going to make.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right.
I do feel a little bit like this Dracula's nephew is stealing the show. Maybe there's a spin-off movie about Dracula's nephew. So more about the sort of main conflict of Kristen Schaal getting married to a cat guy and like chaos ensuing. Does he have... Okay, he has the cats. He
wants the cats to be involved in the wedding.
The cats are like
which is obviously going to be a problem.
Yeah, the cats are like the flower girl.
Could that cause them to wolf out? In a situation where the werewolves can't be around cats because they'll wolf out and chase them.
I think it's funnier if they're all like kind of itching to wolf out from seeing it, but they're not. Yeah. They're all like keeping it under wraps. Yeah. But then because like they got started a little bit late, the bride got stuck in traffic getting her hair done and getting to the wedding, and then and they're like, it's fine, we got a couple hours, we're gonna make it, it won't matter. And then they realize it's daylight saving time, and it's and they're in Maine or whatever, where the sun goes down an hour earlier than they expected.
Okay.
And then that causes the chaos.
All right.
How do we stop the chaos? It seems like the wedding planner has to not wolf out while others are wolfing out for some reason.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because she has to try to contain the problems, but she can't do that if she's also running around tearing stuff up as a wolf, right? So maybe she has a special...
Yeah, I mean, is it a situation where, like, maybe she's been going to... werewolf management.
She's been going to the werewolf therapist.
So she's been going to the werewolf therapist to learn to control it, like Hulk did, Yeah. Like she can stop herself from wolfing out.
Another possibility would be that she's like, I guess maybe she could be like the girl in Wednesday that like is a werewolf but doesn't really wolf out.
Yeah.
Like she's related and she's got some werewolf blood. And she a little bit wolfs out, but she doesn't have like full wolfing out or something.
No, I think it's better if she's learned. I like it if she's learned to control it, and I think there'll have to be like some moment during all the chaos where she just like fully wolfs out.
She finally lets go. Yeah, like maybe that's what it is. Like she's the like nastiest werewolf. She's like a big scary werewolf that even the other werewolves are scared of.
Yeah.
And so maybe when she actually lets go, she's able to round everybody up and stop them like at the last moment. She doesn't want to because it's embarrassing and like,
she saves all of the cats.
Yeah, and she's afraid that she's embarrassed and is afraid that she will lose too much control and really go nuts, right? And so she's reluctant. She knows she can bust it out if she has to, but she's been holding back, until the climax of the movie.
Yeah. So then she'll give a big, like, inspiring speech at the end.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I would watch this movie if we were doing a bad movie podcast.
Yeah, it could be pretty fun. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we are, running out of time here. Rory's getting to about his limit. You can probably hear him. Unless I managed to edit this out.
Every podcast ends with Rory getting a little bit fussy.
Yep. He's doing so well, though.
He's a very good co-host.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for listening. You can follow us on social media. If you can find all the links to all of our social media if you go to our website, which is coolpodcast.website. That is our real website, coolpodcast.website. We are on Instagram at whatshouldpod, as well as Twitter, and we have a Facebook page.
You can also email us at what@coolpodcast.website.
And leave us a review on iTunes.
Yeah, send us your ideas too. Like, we'd love to hear audience ideas for podcasts we can discuss and make fun of, probably.
Yes, because I'm sure there are people out there that have better ideas than we do, and we would love to hear them.
No, nobody has better ideas than we do. Clearly, nobody can top the Bean podcast idea. Which actually has been kind of sitting in my brain as a thing I want to talk more about.
Maybe next week.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the funny papers. I don't know what that means.
Bye.
Bye. What was that podcast about? I'm trying to figure it out. What was that podcast about? Could you perhaps help me out? My neighbor was being loud. Didn't catch what that was about.